Hello everyone and welcome to the very first episode of Ask Jez Xbox. This show is inspired by Windows Central's main channel show Ask Dan Windows, but we decided to rip it off. We were inspired by Daniel Rubino's excellent format and decided to do our very own All About Gaming right here on the Windows Central Gaming channel. No matter where you ask your questions, whether they're on Twitter, whether they're on YouTube, if you use the hashtag AskJezXbox, we'll try to get them answered in at least a fortnightly basis, depending on how much work this actually takes. So without further ado, let's get right into it and start answering some questions and see how long this actually takes me to do on a Saturday morning. Hubert at CK_justice_ asks, will my PDP taloran mode still work, sad face? I'm guessing not. Well Hubert, I have some good news for you because yes it will, as long as your TV supports HDMI CEC. HDMI CEC is a feature which lets your Xbox send command signals directly to your TV over the HDMI cable rather than the IR blaster which was used in the Xbox One. Most TVs do support HDMI CEC, but you may need to enable it in the settings menu. The next question is from Phenomenal X7 who asks, is backwards compatibility on the Series X only compatible with digital titles or will it also accept the original discs? The answer is yes, it will accept the original discs as well, and it will simply use that for licensing and download the data over the internet. The Bacon Life asks, are there any updates on achievement changes? Right now, on our version of the dashboard, there are no changes to achievements whatsoever. I think for Microsoft it's a matter of priorities. Right now, they're just focusing on making sure they get the Xbox Series X out the door in a polished state, and then maybe later on they'll look at things like achievements and stuff like that. They do realise that Sony is advancing what achievements are and what they mean, and I'm pretty sure they will react to that competition down the line. K Alex on Twitter asks, can the stand be removed if you turn the console sideways? Well, unfortunately, Mr. Alex, the answer to that question is no. The base is actually part of the main chassis, and I don't think it can be removed. Maybe you could if you use like a chainsaw or something, but I wouldn't recommend it. Simeon Rad on Twitter asks, would be great to see how navigation between store, achievements, game clips, etc. works. Is it faster and smoother? Well, the simple answer to that, Simeon, is yes, it is faster and it is smoother. You'll notice as soon as you open the box and plug it in that everything just seems instantaneous and super smooth. The CPU and the SSD go to great lengths into, improving the overall responsiveness of the dashboard. So you will feel that straight away. Usama Jawad on Twitter asks, with the Xbox Series X, we know that some devs are trying multiple performance modes like Dirt 5 and Falconeer. That said, do you expect other devs to offer similar capabilities or will they opt for one mode, that is native 4K 30 or dynamic 4K 60, and so on? What should we expect? That is a complicated question that has no clean-cut answer. There are devs who are probably more in favour of offering multiple modes, and there are devs that will offer single modes and stuff like that. It depends on the size of the dev, it depends on what capabilities are available in their tools and engines for making multiple performance modes, it depends on a lot of factors. I do think Microsoft would probably try to encourage devs to aim for 4K 60 as a baseline, but a lot of those developer tools need to be optimized. I've heard that Unity, for example, isn't fully optimized for Xbox Series X yet, and those performance enhancements will come as the months go on. It's always a bit dodgy at the start of a gen, like games never really look as great at the start of the gen as they do towards the end of the gen, because all those tools have matured and developers know all the tips and tricks and all that sort of stuff. And for right now it's a bit of an unknown, but I think we will see whatever we've had on the Xbox One X in terms of multiple performance modes. I think we'll keep seeing that at least in the short term. Cybermutant on Twitter asks, can I transfer my downloaded Xbox One games to a series using a hard drive? Well, the answer to that is yes, as long as it supports USB. I suspect what most people will do in the short term is keep like an archive of their games on regular mechanical hard drive storage connected via USB, and then when they want to play a game, move it to the main SSD internally to get the added benefits of the loading speeds and stuff like that. If you are running a game off your hard drive, you're not going to see the improved loading speeds unless you're actually running it on either the internal SSD or one of the SSD memory cards that Microsoft is selling in partnership with Seagate. Peter Aitken asks, can you talk any more about the UI, specifically the dynamic themes? Is it just different variations of the waves we have seen, or are there more options available? This is quite interesting because there is currently an option for dynamic themes on the preview version of the Xbox Series X operating system that testers currently have available. However, clicking on this option doesn't do anything. I think this is another surprise Microsoft is saving for the review period or something like that, but this is something that no preview testers actually have access to yet, so it's still another surprise waiting to be revealed. Brandon Origins on Twitter asks, does it use the same power cable as the Xbox One X? In fact, yes it does, or at least basically the same cable. I in fact was too lazy to unplug all of my Xbox One stuff, so I just plugged the same power cable in that I was using for my Xbox One X into the back of the Xbox Series X, and I haven't had any issues whatsoever. Golgathar on Twitter asks, how does quick resume work on multiplayer games? Destiny, Division 2, Elder Scrolls Online, etc. Where do you end up in the quick resume state? This depends ultimately on how the game is structured. In terms of Destiny, Division, and Elder Scrolls Online, because they're all cloud-based games, there is a server timeout for inactivity. So if you're inactive on the server for any number of minutes, it will boot you out and you'll have to sign back in again. I do suspect that quick resume and SSD technology will change the way devs approach this. For example, in Monster Hunter World, when you're inactive on a server, you don't get kicked out of the game completely, you just sort of revert to an offline mode state, which is far more user-friendly than having to go through all the menus and reconnect again. As for now, the games like Destiny Division 2 will kick you out of the servers during quick resume, but you won't have to go through that initial game loading again. It should be quicker overall. That's all the time we have for answering questions this week. If you've enjoyed the format, let us know in the comments or drop us a like. If you want to get your question answered, use the hashtag AskJezXbox on Twitter or drop us a comment down below. We will take priority questions from paying members of our YouTube channel, so hit that join button if you want your question answered for definite. And yeah, I've been Jez Corden from Windows Central, and if this format is popular, hopefully we'll be seeing you again soon in the future. Keep it gaming, guys.